Today, I'm going to be explaining what every item in R.E.P.O does in order to give you a better understanding of what items you may need in your matches. I'll be breaking these down into categories of drones, weapons, tools, throwables, and other store items. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like or subscribing, and come catch us on a Twitch live stream sometime. But anyways, let's jump right in. Alright, so kicking things off with drones, first up we have the Indestructible Drone, and it pretty much does exactly what the name says. It's a drone that can attach to valuables without having them take any damage whatsoever. This is a super useful item in my eyes and definitely worth buying. Also, in case you were thinking about it like I was, you sadly can't use the Indestructible Drone to beat enemies to death with it. The Feather Drone is another drone that's pretty self-explanatory. It makes items extremely light, allowing you to carry them wherever you may need, along with rotating easily. This of course pairs very well with the Indestructible Drone, as you can easily carry something without worrying about causing any damage to the valuable. The Feather Drone also allows you to jump quite high when attached to yourself. The Zero Gravity Drone reduces the gravity of whatever it's attached to about zero. It is very useful for hoisting up extremely heavy items or attacking enemies with large items, although attacking enemies with larger items isn't normally worth the value you'll end up losing. If you attach this drone to yourself, you'll fall very slowly alongside having air control with it, but you won't jump as high as when you have the Feather Drone attached. Fun little tidbit here is that if you have both the Zero Gravity and a Feather Drone active simultaneously, you can just float in suspension and even move a little bit while using tumble. The Roll Drone has a few different behaviors depending on what it's attached to. If you put it on an object, the object will actually chase you, and this also goes for the cart, but it does cause things to rotate, as you can see with the cart here. You can attach this drone to enemies and it will actually roll away from you, but drain the battery life extremely quickly while doing so. One other possible use for the Roll Drone would be just attaching it to dead players' heads if you're already carrying something, but honestly still not great given that you might get bonked from the rolling head. This drone can be used to kill a duct, but overall isn't the most useful drone. The Recharge Drone is probably one of the absolute best items in the game and for sure worth a buy. This drone allows you to hold charge while you're out exploring the map. You can just recharge those items, and as of right now, weapons actually don't need more than 1% recharge to fire, meaning you can just give it a tiny tap of a charge, take the drone back, and then use the weapon. There is also a bug in the game right now that allows you to basically get infinite ammo after tapping the drone onto an item, but I'm sure that'll be addressed pretty soon. It's also normally not too expensive. It's only about 4 to 5k, so for sure worth the buy. I decided to loop the Zero Gravity Orb in with the drones as it kind of falls in a similar category. The Zero Gravity Orb is not really worth taking, at least from the info I dug up, so please let me know if you have additional info or thoughts below. It is extremely costly when it comes to energy, and to me, it's just a worse option than the Zero Gravity Drone. My only thought initially was to see if it would make your entire cart weightless, but it only ends up making the items weightless and not the cart. So seriously, if you know anything about this, let me know, but in my eyes, not really worth taking. All right, now we're gonna move on to weapons. First up, we have the Inflatable Hammer. This weapon is very weak and it does almost no damage, but it has a very small percentage, I believe it's roughly 5%, to explode, dealing 250 damage, meaning it could kill almost any enemy, excluding the Trudge. The Sledge Hammer is a pretty awesome weapon as it's very heavy hitting and great for killing enemies quickly. I will say this weapon takes a ton of practice and it's pretty difficult to control, but overall one of the better weapons the game has to offer. Also, fun little tidbit, you can destroy doors with this weapon as well. I don't have too much to say about the sword, and it's really not the greatest weapon in my eyes, but it can definitely have its uses such as really good crowd control capabilities, but overall not super high up on my list, and I'd probably take some other weapons before this one. The baseball bat is an item that can deal with medium enemies and has large amounts of knockback. So if you're looking to cause a bit more chaos, this is a pretty fun one. Honestly, it's one of the more effective combat weapons, and it can be pretty good once you get some practice in with it. The frying pan is my least favorite weapon personally, just due to the fact that it feels somewhat lackluster when compared to the other melee weapons. However, it is very good for killing ducks, so that is one really good use for it. Next up, we have the Tranq Gun, and this is probably one of the best weapons in the game, hands down. The Tranq Gun is a gun that will temporarily stun enemies, allowing you to either quickly escape from them or kill them in any fashion you see fit. This weapon is extremely inaccurate and basically requires you to get right up to an enemy if you want to ensure your shots hit the mark. It deals with enemies regardless of their health pool and can be shot 3 times before running out of ammo. After stunning a monster, you can always throw them in a pit or kill them by slamming them onto the ground if you're strong enough, or by using objects. We have a guide here on the channel that goes over how to counter every monster in R.E.P.O as well, so I'll put a card on screen, but give that a watch if you're still struggling to counter some of those monsters. The gun has 5 rounds and is extremely inaccurate. Alongside this, it's also pretty pricey as well, but it can be a strong weapon if you land your shots, but you'll likely need to be pretty close to your target and not moving very much. It takes 4 shots to kill a trudge, and it can be as low as 1 shot for the duck, so this can be slightly more effective on some of those small to medium monsters, such as Headman, if you hit those shots. Overall, pretty good weapon. It's a little expensive, but definitely a fun time. The shotgun is an extremely powerful weapon. Again, it's not the most accurate, but if you get up close and personal with this thing, it dishes out some serious damage. It can kill a trudge in 2 shots, which is pretty impressive considering the trudge has 500 HP. This is definitely a solid weapon choice if you end up having the funds for it. All right, next up, we're moving on to some tools, and first up, we have the extraction tracker, which is another item that does exactly what you think it does. It points you in the direction of the extraction point and has a pretty good battery life. It definitely becomes a lot more useful when you have more extraction points to find, so I think this can be a little bit more useful as you progress in your game. Next up, we have the valuable tracker. This item is pretty straightforward. The tracker will just beep more rapidly as you approach a valuable that it is pointed you towards and turns green once you've fully located the item. This thing is absolutely not worth the cost, and I don't really advise buying this with how absolutely expensive it is. I just think you can find everything you're looking for on your own, and I just don't think it's a very good item, but let me know if you found any other strong uses for it. Now we're going to move on to the throwables. I'm going to be lumping a few of our throwables together in this section, as many of them serve similar purposes, but I'll point out some of the key differences as well. First up, we have the stun and shockwave grenade, and I'm going to be lumping these together as they're extremely similar. Both of these grenades explode, causing enemies to receive knockback and a temporary stun. As far as my research goes, the main difference between the two is that the shockwave grenade will stun and damage enemies, while the stun grenade will just stun them, but let me know if you have more info on this down below. These are not the most useful items, as I feel like you get more value out of the explosives, but it can be useful in some various situations. Next, we're moving on to grenades, and there's actually 3 kinds of explosive grenades, and those are going to be the grenade, the human grenade, and the duct-taped grenades. They all function the same way where you throw them and then they explode, dealing damage. The human grenade is actually just the same as a normal grenade, but it deals less damage and has a smaller radius. And then of course the normal grenade functions the same as the human grenade, it's just going to do more damage and have a larger radius. The duct tape grenades are just a bundle of grenades that go off in a cluster and fly in different directions and explode. It should be noted that it blows up for its own grenade damage first and then flies off into 3 human grenades that subsequently explode. The duct tape grenades are definitely the best out of the 3 types. You can only get the duct taped and human grenades from the secret shop area, and if you need to know where that is, go ahead and watch that short I put on screen and down in the description. Next up, we have the rubber duck, which is probably one of my favorite items in the game, though it is not the best. You basically throw this item, it bounces around in different directions, and it has something like an 8 to 10% chance to explode. I'm not positive on the percentage there. This is for sure a difficult item to use and can be really good in smaller spaces to kill enemies with the explosive property. It's definitely a bit more work than some of the other items, and it's not my first pick, but it's a super silly one, and I think it's a lot of fun to cause some chaos. Now we're going to move on to some of the other store items. First up, we have the pocket cart. This is a cart that you can store in your inventory and use to transport smaller items such as money bags or small to medium sized valuables. You can't store the pocket cart in your inventory with items, it's just the cart itself, and some of my viewers from the previous video also mentioned that the pocket cart is a really good counter against the alien, so I just want to throw that out there. Anyways, I think it's a pretty solid buy and can for sure be helpful in a variety of situations. I decided to put the mines in this section as well, just because they kind of fall into their own category. There are 3 types of mines in R.E.P.O, and they're the stun mine, explosive mine, and shockwave mine. The stun mine is kind of like a bear trap, and it will latch on and stun anything that steps on it. The explosive mine is a mine you can activate, then toss on the floor, and as it says in the name, it will explode when anything steps on it. The shockwave mine is very similar to the shockwave grenade, as it will stun and damage anything that steps on it. Overall, the mines function pretty similarly, just having those varying properties, and the mines can be pretty useful for blocking off a monster's path or zoning, but they're not always my first buy in the shop. Moving on to energy crystals, these are just crystals that you can use as batteries for the energy container located in the truck in order to recharge items. Outside of this, they do not really have a function, and they're pretty cut and dry. Last, we're just going to go over all the packs. We're going to breeze through these because these are all very self-explanatory, but if you would like to see a more in-depth guide or more information on these, just let me know. First up, we have health packs. Health packs are pretty straightforward. They restore players' health. The small health pack restores 25 HP, the medium health pack restores 50 HP, and the large health pack restores restores 100 HP. All right, now we're just gonna go through all the upgrades. First up, we have map player count. The map player count is an upgrade that is used to see a counter of live teammates on the map. The stamina upgrade is a pack used to increase your stamina by 10 points. The sprint upgrade is a pack that increases your sprint speed by 20%. The extra jump pack is a pack that is used to get a double jump. Tumble launch is a pack that increases your tumble launch distance. Range is an upgrade pack that is used to increase your pickup range. The strength pack is used to increase your strength and hold heavier items, including monsters. And lastly, the health pack increases your health by 20 HP. That is all we have for today's video. I hope this video helps you all a lot in your matches. If I missed anything, please leave it in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.